want to talk about Tennessee football, man, because this is a really scary team going into this year. They could win 9 to 11 games and possibly win the entire SEC, make it to the SEC championship, maybe knock off Georgia, Alabama, whoever, because this is one of the more complete teams that the Vols have had in recent memory. With Nico Imaviava at quarterback, your offense is going to be massively upgraded, and they're going to be massively improved from what they were last year, because remember, 2023 was a step down offensively in production from what they did in 2022 when they had pretty much the nation's best offense with Hendon Hooker. Joe Milton wasn't bad, but he was inaccurate. He really couldn't read defenses. With Nico Imaviava taking over at center or underneath center, you're going to have somebody that not only is going to be more accurate and more efficient at quarterback for you, but you're also going to have a guy that has the athletic ability to do a lot on the ground as compared to Joe Milton. Joe Milton isn't the kind of athlete that Nico and Maviava have. This dude is like Trevor Lawrence meets Deshaun Watson. You know, he has the kind of build that Trevor Lawrence has, really tall and lengthy, but he has a lot of sneaky athleticism, which is what Tennessee was kind of missing last year. You see, Joel Millen, he had a good amount of athleticism that you had to account for, but Nico Imaviava, you give this dude a little bit of green grass and he can take a 40-yard touchdown to the house, or he can take a 40-yard design quarterback run to the house for 6 due to how dynamic he is with the ball in his hands. You saw what he did in their bowl game against Iowa. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground in that game. And with the receiving core that he's going to be throwing to this year, he should be able to put up some prolific numbers and maybe be a dark horse Heisman contender. Because not only did Tennessee's offense suffer due to lackluster quarterback play in 2023, but they got beat up at wide receiver. A lot of guys that they were dependent on, such as Bro McCoy, they got injured. Well, he comes back healthy. You also got Squirrel White coming back. Deontay Thornton, who many people were high on. He was a transfer from Oregon that they got last year. You got a Tulane transfer and Chris Brazil, who is one of the better wide receivers in the portal. And you return 3 out of 5 starters on your offensive line. This offense is going to be really explosive, and they're going to be back to playing at the level that they were in 2022. And defensively, this may be the strongest that Tennessee has been on this side of the ball. Now, they still don't have a secondary, but they got a damn good front 7. They got linebackers that are good against the pass and the run. And your defensive line, your pass rush, is led by a projected number 1 overall pick and James Pierce Jr. Not only do you have James Pierce Jr., but you have a couple of other guys that can get after the quarterback and have the possibility to be playing in the NFL. So of how good the pass rush is going to be for Tennessee, that's going to help out their secondary, because when you can get pressure on the quarterback consistently, the guys in your secondary aren't going to be in coverage for that long. So that helps them out. And just naturally, with the style of offense that Tennessee runs, high pace, up-tempo, your defense is always going to be at a disadvantage due to the amount of plays that they're going to be on the field for, which is why you need to have good depth and guys that you can rotate so you can keep your starters fresh. Tennessee has that on the defensive line as well. Although they're playing a tough schedule, you got to play Georgia, Kentucky, a lot of other good schools this year. The gap between Tennessee and some of the upper echelon teams in this conference, like Texas, Alabama, I don't think it's really that big. I really believe that Tennessee is good enough to beat any team that they play this year. There's not a single game that they don't have a chance at being able to win, including Georgia, because they got the luxury of playing Georgia at home this year. Now, remember, the last time I thought Tennessee was going to beat Georgia, they got smacked in the mouth. They got beat up and swallowed and spit out and stepped on when they played Georgia at home in 2022. But this year, though, with how good they're going to be up front, they can match Georgia's physicality on the line of scrimmage. They got as many NFL guys on that defensive line as what Georgia has on their offensive line. And you got to be able to handle yourself up front when you're going up against an Alabama or Georgia or Texas. And Tennessee definitely has the talent to be able to hold up and win that line of scrimmage battle against a team like a Georgia. So I'm really high on Tennessee this year, along with most people. This should be one of those teams that you have penciled in to be a lock and a surefire participant in the 12-team college football playoffs. And this is going to be a really dynamic team this year. Then get after your quarterback. You're going to have great quarterback play out of Nico Iamaleava with great receivers around them to work with. I don't see how Tennessee wins anything less than 10 games, and they got a really good shot at being able to win the SEC this year due to the talent that they're going to have and the fact that you're going to have some of your more tougher games being played in your own building.